All right. Team two, are you ready to go with your proposal? I will ask all three of you to unmute. And do you want to screen share right away, or do you want to screen share a little bit later on?
Screen share.
Okay, and Elizabeth, are you gonna be the one screen sharing, or?
I am.
Okay, great. I will let you do that now.
Okay. Andy, Evie, you ready?
Hear you?
We are. I am.
Okay.
All right, you should be able to go for the screen share, and I'll let you take it away.
All right. I'm Elizabeth Billings.
Evie Lovett.
And I'm Andy Wasserman.
And we're really happy to be sharing our preliminary ideas for the South Royalton underpass tonight. On our site visits, we were really struck by how much the underpass is used and how much it could use a little tender loving care. So we call our preliminary proposal passage. Intertwining people in place, our work creates visual poetry, a visual dialogue, a conversation. We're artists dedicated to making artwork that enlivens our senses, connects to the natural and lived environment, and collaborates with the community. We're excited about the transformation of the South Royalton underpass and its redefinition as a place the community loves. We'd like to share some recent projects which highlight how the conversation with the community is central to how we work, how building meaningful relationships with a site and the community who live there allows for rich, unexpected, organic growth. We have initial ideas, but know it's the exchange of ideas and shared imagination, the widening of perspective that comes from multiple voices that makes for better work, better ideas, better projects, and better connection.
So from the river to the river.
Wait, can I pause for a second? I'm not sure the slide images are forwarding. Are they? I'm not seeing them.
No.
Oh no?
No, they're not going forward.
Sharing is paused.
Have the first text.
So on my end, I don't think it's a problem with the screen sharing. I think it might be somehow the way. I wonder if it's sharing to a different screen. Like, are you in presenter mode on the PowerPoint?
I am.
I think it's sharing to the back end view where we see all the slides, not to where the slides are being presented. If that makes sense.
So
But that was something on your, yep, that
One,
advanced it, yeah.
Did it.
Oh. Yeah, on my end, you have full permission, so it should be.
So sharing is paused. Bring your shared window to the front. How do I?
Why don't you stop sharing and then reshare, and when you get to pick which window to show, pick the presentation, pick the window that's being presented in, not the window with the slides on the back end, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's the correct view, probably.
Oh, the joys and the unexpected surprises.
Hey, but it may happen for the next one.
Well, you'll get a really good look at this slide. This is a collage from the river to the river, which was installed in 2016 in Brattleboro, Vermont, and it consisted of 5 interrelated outdoor art installations, each reinvigorating a town and river connection. So the artworks linked and beautified 2 underutilized Brattleboro locations and focused on the Connecticut River as inspiration. So there is, an 8-foot by 25-foot collage of river photographs installed on a historically significant building, and 13 locally quarried stone benches created an outdoor area designed for contemplation and congregation. And then at the Brattleboro Transportation Center, which was is a parking garage, which is also in need of love, and is a 4-minute walk from the river. A 32-foot by 32-foot temporary kinetic sculpture brought the luminescence of the water to the center of town. And an 8-minute video of silhouettes of over 300 town residents interspersed with river imagery was projected in an adjacent alley every evening on the hour for a year. Poetry by Vermont and Abenaki poets was installed at both locations, and the community celebrated. And then when we finished this project, we thought that our work there was completed, and we planned to deinstall the temporary kinetic structure in 2018. But we found that the community had become deeply attached to it. So this presence of shimmering visual rhythms of the river in a place that people traditionally described as uneventful, scary, dark, dismal, dingy, it really shifted people's sense of the place. So that community response inspired us on a path of reaching out and working intimately with funders and folks from the Brattleboro community, the Downtown Brattleboro Association, with the Brattleboro Museum, the Connecticut River Conservancy, the Abenaki community, the town manager, the town planner, the Department of Public Works, to design a 36-foot by 86-foot permanent kinetic sculpture to be installed later this year. And then we saw that for the community to truly be connected, they needed to be involved. So in concert with the permanent sculpture, we designed a community art making effort in which hundreds of people have created these cyanotype banners like this one here, and have become part of a fabric of stakeholders that have really worked tirelessly to uplift this challenging space, our parking garage, with celebration. And then also with such practical things as signage, identifying Brattleboro as a place with a deep connection to its river. This is an osprey that was installed in December.
We want to briefly show you a few other projects to give you an idea of what we have been up to and how we engage with community, move forward in collaboration, and finish on time and within budget. Just over a year ago, we completed this project that you see here, Echo Luminous, for the Echo Center on the waterfront in Burlington, Vermont. Making visible the energy all around us, Echo Luminous is a celebration of the wind. A dynamic sculptural installation of looped stainless steel poles intersecting and converging in the sky. Each of the 18 stainless poles holds a large stainless mirror disc and is capped by an LED light, revealing local wind speed in real time through sequences of changing colors. An anemometer up on the roof of the Science Center sends minute-by-minute data to the lights. Echoluminous makes the wind on Lake Champlain visible through a choreography of lights. So when we have very low wind speeds, we end up with blue. And when we have very high wind speeds, we end up with a sequence of brighter colors like orange and pink. I don't think we've ever seen pink yet, but we keep hoping someday we'll see pink.
Sort of hoping, right?
Yeah, sort of.
And this is Helix Garden at the Texas Tech University School of Nursing in El Paso. This project led to an investigation into the desert environment with all the succulent native cactus and prickly vegetation. The intensive nursing program works on both sides of the border with students and staff preparing for some really difficult situations. This garden became a focal point for both the nursing school and the medical, and formed a transition from one school to the other and a respite in a changing environment. The translucent sculptural frieze, the color of sea glass and rendered microscopic slides, creates public space as well as private ones. And at night, the same garden transforms into an illuminated double helix of quiet, vital, and needed energy. And Derby Line Port of Entry in Derby Line, Vermont, where the integration of art and architecture expanded all possibilities. We worked closely with the architects to come up interior and exterior art installations that welcome people into the United States and became a true threshold for people arriving or departing Vermont. Came up with an initial plan, presented it, and found that Customs and Border Protection, CBP, had concerns. With the architects, we went back to the drawing board. At the next presentation, as we were moving our samples to the back of the room, the CBP came up to us. She said, "I've seen a lot of projects and I never have learned, but I really, really like this. It just works." Finding resolution collaboratively meant staying true to CBP guidelines as well as our artistic integrity. Sounds like a very fine needle to thread, wasn't, with the collective intention of the team.
So, the South Royalton Underpass. What is our preliminary concept? It's our belief that art connects one being to another in towns and communities in the world. Am I echoing? Is it okay? Am I echoing?
Yes.
That is at the core of our work. It's what sustains us and how we approach collaborations and projects.
We should start out.
So we propose at the South Royalton Underpass a site-specific public art project that connects the passerby and the natural environment, the White River and the surrounding landscape, inclusive of voices from the community, while bringing visual delight. So what do we imagine? First, we imagine a railroad fixed the concrete. And then we imagine two distinctive artworks, one on either side of the underpass, reflecting and reverberating from one side to the other, one land and one river. So this is a view from Railroad Street. And then the view from Pleasant Street is here. So on the land side, on the right side of this image, you've got a colorful, reflective, continuous frieze of the rural forested landscape. And then on the river side, on the left side, you have a reflective flowing contour of the entire length of the White River. So the two sides are reflecting and reverberating the imagery from the other, and they become the passage.
The land side, the land. The frieze is a montage of trees and landscape in various densities and color printed on mirror dye bond aluminum. As you pass by the frieze, you can see yourself in the mirror as part of the landscape, and you see many of the trees formed from words. Here is a printed image on mirror dye bond that we used for signage in the parking garage to give you an idea of its reflectiveness. The photo collage was printed on aluminum dye bond and installed in 2016. It is maintaining its quality and vibrancy and is holding up well. The words are poetry, histories, and stories. They are a collaboration with the South Royalton community. We imagine working with a local group to solicit questions and gather responses that then become the trees. The integrated text is readable, changing in scale from bold to fine print, tree to tree. The trees, the community's voice, are held within the landscape and reflected out.
Am I back?
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry about that. The echo was coming through your computer, so I had to mute you.
Oh, sorry. A long series of convex round safety mirrors map the contours of the nearby river, bringing light and reflection to the underpass. The mirrors vary in size and create a long, animated, continuous river line, narrowing in some areas, flowing broadly in others. The
The blue-
mirrors allow pedestrians and, can you see?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
Mirrors allow pedestrians and cars to see easily oncoming traffic or just around the corner. The reflective river dancing horizontally along the underpass has the potential to slow traffic as well. With the underpass, we see ease enliven the experience of passage. We imagine each side endlessly reverberating and reflecting the imagery, the landscape, the river line, people, and the community's words.
I'm just going to add that the blue dots, the blue circles represent the mirrors, just so you make sure that, because I think that got lost in the transfer.
So this is option one with a preliminary budget of $30,000. And the next slide is option two with a preliminary budget of $50,000, and it includes a significant lighting element. So we imagine solar powered LEDs running behind the mirrored river, so the full length of the underpass. The LEDs will light the river from behind, which is then going to reflect opposite on the mirrored frieze, which in turn is going to reflect the light back onto the river, and so on and so forth. So the mirrored surfaces are going to hold us and reflect us and transform this subtle luminosity of the underpass public art to a truly lighted experience and a more safe experience.
Community input is essential. In the word trees, the text comes directly from the community and forms the graphic tree silhouettes. These trees hold a moment in time, written and gathered for this wall. Imagine walking through the underpass in 10 or 15 years and reading the words your grandmother wrote about persevering through COVID time, or a memory she shared of her great-grandmother telling her about the excitement of taking grain to the train depot, or a son's friend who wrote his very first poem for the word trees is the next Super Bowl poet. The community's thoughts and memories are held and shared here.
For South Royalton, we see this site-specific installation brought and harmonizing with this place, connecting passersby, both pedestrians and vehicles, intimately and expansively to the ever-changing times of day and night, and to patterns of light, sky, ice. Passage is a community public artwork, forms a surprising and interactive mirage, a refraction of continuous light. This is a preliminary concept, which means research, design, materials, investigation, community input, and asking questions are the next step. And so if you have questions about our preliminary proposal, we'd love to try to answer them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's really awesome. As before, we have about 15 minutes total for questions. We would like to hold the first 5 minutes for questions from the project group, but then we'll open it up to everyone. So again, just wave your hand if you have a question for the team. Yep, John.
What are the mirrors made out of? Are they the glass ones we often see that are broken?
They're safety mirrors that are used, you know, for traffic.
So they're the ones we see people.
They're the convex
pass.
safety mirrors.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I guess I had a really easy time visualizing the trees. I thought that was it looked amazing. The mirror side, however, was harder for me to sort of understand. I'm wondering, one, is that the line of the White River from like Bethel to White River Junction? And or where does that follow the actual sort of contours of the river all the way to White River Junction? And yeah, the mirrors, they're going to be different sizes. So that was one of my questions. And then I guess that's one of my questions right now, and then I might ask another one in a minute.
So yes,
Okay.
it is the length of the White River, and the difference in width, we used a 12-inch and 6-inch safety, convex safety mirrors for the prototype design, and where it's wide is where the river is wide, and where it's narrow is where it's narrow. And then I think it was Elizabeth who put, there's a couple of little kind of loops, and if she's unmuted, she can she can share what those represent.
For this very design, we took a little artistic license, but it's more the shape of the White River from source to the Connecticut.
Have you done any, I like the flow of the river. Have you ladies done any other artwork where you have mirrors directly facing off of each other? And I'm just curious if you have experienced that being too much, like reflecting back and forth at each other, or not?
I'd love to answer that. I think that, as you know, that this is just a preliminary concept. And so the question of how many mirrors, how much reflectivity we want can become part of our communal conversation. It'd be really exciting to put up a piece of Dibond mirror printed and a couple mirrors. They're not, each mirror is not that expensive, and try it out and really see how that works. We have this in our imaginations that it could be really fun. And the other thing we wanted you to know is that we felt, given the snow, the amount of snow, we tried to keep everything off the plow level. So the Connecticut River would like to take some dives into the snow, but we tried to maintain it artistically to keep it safety, keep a safety margin between the plow and the. So that's our initial idea. But of course this is the beginning place and not the completion place.
Yeah.
So we imagine it could be super fun to walk through, and it could be kind of an event as you go through. I'll let others chime in.
I guess just one more, since no one's chiming yet.
Well, I see Ina and
Oh,
Lucas raising
sorry,
their
Ina.
hands too, but bring it on.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for Ina to unmute, the trees, sort of, the picture that you gave us for the trees doesn't wrap around as far as, I know this is preliminary, but so maybe that would be part of the discussion of how far you wrap that front bank of the railroad wall around, sort of facing the library. So the trees kind of more like go under the bridge, under the underpass, more than I didn't see them wrapping all the way around on that.
I think you should look again, because they do wrap. Maybe Liz.
Yeah, they do. There's the triangular side, and then there's about a 12-foot portion before you actually go under the underpass.
Yeah.
And I think we have to account for the fact that the panels that we can print are 12-inch. Are 4 feet. The width is 4 feet. So it just, I think we took it 8 feet in that first chunk of where the triangle is. But yeah, conceivably we could add another 4 feet, I think.
So Elizabeth, are you pulling up an image to show? Mr. Joe.
I did, and now it says it's paused. Okay, let me try it again.
Yeah, it was showing us the folder with all of your thumbnails. Oh, there it is. Okay,
Okay.
great.
So this is the, where is my cursor? This is the wing wall, right? So it's up on the wing. Same with here.
The panel could certainly could extend as far as possible. There's no question about that. You know, I think this is just a preliminary. The wall actually goes this way, and then through. So it's hard to describe it, you know, in the graphic. But I think the intention is that it would go. It would cover as much.
It would wrap around. But it would stay, you know, 3 feet off the ground because there's snow there right now that's not the prettiest white in color.
I think we also felt that once the dynamic panels were up there and the mirrors were up there, that you'd start to see that and not the wall as much, like your attention would go there. So, yeah. But
So I think we also, oh, sorry.
on either side is totally doable.
I think we also had questions from Ina and then Lucas.
Okay. Well, my business is I'm a poet, so you could imagine my excitement at these trees. Wow. I have a question. I may have just missed something in your description. The surface and the business of maybe the railroad's going to redo sometime. What did you describe as the surface that you're going to be doing this on through the tunnel underpass?
So these are essentially going to be photographs that are going to be printed on something called aluminum dye bond that is, and you can get it with a reflective mirror surface. And when we've used it before, we've backed it with plywood, like 1/2-inch plywood, so that you would have this frieze that's sort of 4 feet wide. And that's what the surface would be.
This is a sample of, this is the mirror portion, but then you print it, like you could print any image. So we would do the graphic with all the text and the trees and the photography and the painting, and and then it would get printed on this flat surface. And it gets a anti-graffiti, it gets a
You
coating.
mentioned that, yes.
So that would be good. The sign, we used the same material for the signage at the Brattleboro parking garage and we used the dye bond without the mirror. If it's too reflective, we can just print it on a dye bond surface without the mirror. That is an option, but we thought the mirror would give a lively quality that you could see your words and yourself in it. So,
Thank you.
Hi, great. I love the concept. I love the contrasting points of view from the other group to your guys' group. I'm interested to see so we want to build as much like public interest in this as possible, and I'm just worried that it may be a little bit too I don't want to say modern, or like if there was any such a way that I love the transgression from one season to the next, but if there was any way to like break up, it seemed like almost like a forest scene with maybe the inclusion of like animals or you know like maybe like a kid's ledge or just something to kind of maybe like break it up a little bit to make it maybe not seem like almost like a well, it seems as though the main difference was really just the transition of seasons when it was a forest, which was beautiful, but maybe like to incorporate like some other like, you know, incidental things in it to add like, you know, just to add something more to it. And, you know, and I do like the mirrors idea. And the one thing that I would and I guess you guys spoke about it in brief, but rounding that corner and having it, blind, like another motorist coming in for the tunnel another way. I don't know if that would happen, because there's a lot of different mirrors. I'm sure this light would be reflecting in all different angles, because it's quite a dark tunnel at the nighttime. I guess what's your take on that aspect of it?
I think we need to test it.
Yeah.
But as Andy said, if there are ways that we can, for example, not print on mirror dye bond, use fewer convex safety mirrors. It's a process.
Is the intention with it also to use it as almost like a safety feature where you can see other vehicles?
It would be great. I think we'd like to hope that could be the case, but I wouldn't want to.
We imagine that's the case, but we haven't tested that out yet, so we don't know entirely how it would.
I don't see how it could be the case.
It could be an indirect result.
Yeah, we were thinking that it was a safety measure.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
And also a way to slow traffic down.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, that's a good point. It would certainly cause that effect. And I do like how you did have the writing on the trees outside of the underpass and not directly in it. I would be worried that people would stand there and read it. I don't know exactly where, but I thought the picture had it on the outside, on the winged walled portions. So that would be something to think about, because people certainly would stop and try to read it.
So we just have a couple more minutes, and Stuart, I think, has a couple more minutes.
Yeah, my question is about the section of the wall that is not the dye bond. Is that relying on the railroad to finish the underpass? Or is there any paneling you're expecting to put up in the vacant spaces?
The plan is to have an armature that all the convex mirrors are attached to, and then in the other areas, it is the wall. And the wall actually, as it is kind of beautiful.
I mean, if the wall gets
integrated,
that's great, and it kind of it'll clean up the whole scene. But basically, I think, like I said, if the artwork's there and the mirrors are there, I think that the wall will receive mirrors are there. If it doesn't get fixed, it's okay.
I like that a lot myself. I think that's pretty key. I like that you thought that you heard our conversation about the wall being, that it's precarious and that we don't have it locked down yet, and it's that we don't, right, like with the panels that you create, it could foreseeably not be fixed before we put the art up. But Stuart, that is something that I feel like we as a town will also follow through on with the railroad. Not just have the artists worrying so much about that backdrop.
I think we have a question from Jojo, and then we should wrap this part up. Talk briefly.
Thank you. I have a simple technical question. How do you spell that aluminum dye bond part?
Dye bond is DIBOND.
DIBOND. Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.